He's winning. He gets to today, but he's talking about his friends and how he's sad that his sensei, Nudge, wasn't able to make it through. Great to hear from Seiko there. And I know I was actually hanging out with both you and Seiko this morning as outside the hotel, so it was great to see him just chilling.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, super humble guy. He's used to this kind of competition. Kind of an esports veteran. You can really show about him thinking about the title, not the prize money. Really want to kind of make a name for himself in Auto Chess also. And it's super impressive to see him go. Unfortunately, he did go for 8th last game, but he kind of has every tools in his box. First player to pull up the Goblin Gamble.
Yeah.
I love to see that. I wanted to add something to that you mentioned, however, about the team compositions from this last game. And that really goes to show that people are getting more comfortable in their skin about playing Dragon Mages. Now there were 4 of them. People are figuring out in this metagame. People are more aggressive, but now I know how to beat you anyways. And it's really starting to show. We expected kind of the metagame to look like this as the tournament started.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really the case at all. And this is kind of where it ends up.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a learning process, I think, for a lot of the players. They got punished. The ones who wanted to go Dragon Mages, I think, during the first day got punished a little more because you're not at a super strong level until the late game. And that's why we saw it be not so great in the very beginning, but they figured out how to manage their health, manage their economy without being on a super hyper-aggressive momentum build in the mid-game. And I'm actually shocked how well all 4 Dragon Mage players did. I thought we were going to see them drop like flies because of how contested they were.
Right.
But they all managed it. They didn't all win, obviously, but they were in like at least middle, if not upper middle of it.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah, no, they're definitely doing very well, and it's a testament to them not needing so many 3 stars. The one player that did do the best was the player that...
With the 3 stars?
Well, in the very end, right? But earlier in the game, the reason why he did so well is because he managed to get all 6 mages very early. And even if you're at 1 star, it's still very powerful. And that also means that he both kept his win streak, but he also didn't pay a lot of gold for his units, right? So he could actually have a high amount of interest. And that's when you see this absurd setups happen in the end of the game when you both have the point of interest and you have all of that win streak money to go with. Then you see like the 3-star Storm Shaman, 3-star Shining Dragon, 3-star Total Elder, which I've never seen in a competitive game before.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're halfway through the day. 3 games down, 3 games to go. $1 million prize pool. Seiko mentioned the disparity between 4th and 8th and 5th through 8th and 4th, which is 18K. You get 18K if you're 5th through 8th. If you get 4th, it goes up to 50,000. So all that to think about. Cameron, Joel, it's been awesome having you here. I love listening to your commentary and analysis. Any final thoughts and maybe a prediction here before we let you guys go here?
I think Seiko's going to come back. But other than that, the disparity has been all over the place already.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. What I'm gonna say.
You're welcome. I have to ask you a prediction. You know, who's gonna win? Who,
Okay, I do agree with Seiko coming back. I think Chuck also is gonna make a headstrong start. I do think that has like a humble idea about coming in here. Seems kind of relaxed. I hope he's gonna like pull himself together and try to get these 3 last games.
All right, well, hey, thanks again, guys, for being up here hanging out. It's time for us to go into the next half of games. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. You're watching the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational, $1 million prize pool, and we're getting closer and closer to finding out who our champion will be. We'll be right back.
Hey. 你想要什么？要快人一步，用技术驾驭前路。要赢，还要点运气的眷顾。怕输，那就给我让让路，看我一串7的脚步。要好看，指尖的技术，画里有画的艺术。茫茫大众，我要万众瞩目。你还想要什么？100万奖金， 自走其爱。这里有你要的全部。
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome back to the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational. We're live from Shanghai, China. $1 million prize pool this weekend for a relatively new genre and game. It could not be more exciting here as we're halfway through the action. It's a best of 6 today, and now we're ready to get into the next half of our games. I'm Axel Toss, very happy to be joined by Scoundrel and Claytano. They've been behind the scenes working their magic with the observing. I only noticed like a couple mistakes, but you guys did an amazing job. How you guys doing? Welcome to the broadcast.
The problem with observing is sometimes on the client, you just move your mouse slightly and it just sends the camera flying off to the side, and I'm always like,
I think that's a cool pan, going to the other
pan into the
board.
sea.
Pan into the
Pan
sea.
into the middle of the sea. I'm sure Twitch has like lol T-tours every time that happens. But yeah, it was fun. It's nice to kind of catch a lot of the action from backstage because me and Clay were able to follow the stories really well when we're so engaged with trying to observe too. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we're just right there in the action with everybody else. And man, talk about action. There's been some ups and downs, first place to last place to kind of all around ties for the most part. We have a tie for first and second, and about third through sixth or seventh is all very much so in this.
And the crowd has been super into it too, which has been really fun, like oohing and awing and clapping. We've had almost standing room only over here. Everything is online. It's $1 million prize pool, and I wanted to mention a couple things here because we're making history on a couple of different fronts as far as total esports prize money accumulated. If you win today, you're automatically you're number 240.
Wow.
All esports earners in all of history.
No pressure.
You're number 240 if you're able to win today, win $450,000. Another thing I wanted to mention, as far as single, non-team game, single-player game prize pools, we're in the top 8. $1 million in the top 8. In fact, fourth through 8th is all $1 million prize pools, right?
Wow.
So I want to do something here. I have an American dollar because I want to get this tournament into number 4 so we can be on our own number 4, 1,000,001. I have to decide which player to give this to, but I'm going to put that there right now.
Nicely done.
Just so we can
Just
get
throw it
past
into the pot.
Yeah, just so we can get past those other tournaments that are $1 million.
There we go. We've made history here. We're now $1,000,001.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and get ready for game 3. Of course, game 3 was last game. This is game 4. That's my bad. But before we jump into the delightful, dulcet tones of our two brilliant commentators, let's go ahead and hear from Shredded.
So I think I'm going to take the finals right from the beginning with an aggressive play style, trying to get ahead in the early game and trying to win streak and maintain my HP for as long as I can, because that seems to have been working for me and I feel like it's very consistent. I think, on the other hand, lose streaking is a very risky, high reward strategy, but it isn't as consistent for me in my opinion, so I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah, so hearing from Shredded there right off the bat, he didn't really have the greatest game 1 and game 2, but really picked it up game 3 with that second place finish, open fort into Knight's Glacier. Maybe taking a play out of Lucky's playbook, who was actually commentating a little bit on the Chinese stream as well, which is pretty cool to see. And he put himself right back into contention for not just second or third, but even a first place finish still is very much so on the table for him.
Yeah, and it was from a loss streak, as you said, and that's something he was trying to avoid. So maybe, I'm looking at his board right now, and I'm thinking, I would be tempted to open fort this, because this is a really, really, in my opinion, pretty poor start. Depends on what he gets in the next round, realistically, but Defector, Frost Knight, Unicorn, they're all really bad units. Ripper is good, but kind of not good outside of a Goblin vacuum unless you get him to level 2. So I think I would be tempted. He's got some good items. He's got a Steel Plate Mail to begin with, which is a great Hell Knight item if he wanted to go down that Glacier Knight path again.
Yeah, especially like you said, the two defectors, a pair of defectors isn't really necessarily the sign that says go Glacier Knight. It's more along the lines if you get a Hell Knight early on, a Lightblade Knight early on, or maybe a pair of each. And it looks like he is going into that modified open fort. Maybe, again, kind of doing what Lucky did last round.
He's taking a leaf out of Lucky's book. I actually would sell the Defectors and the Frost Knights. I know it's not. I know if you want to go into Glacier Knight, it's not the optimum thing, but I actually don't think that Defector and Frost Knight are that good, so I would have sold to get to the 10 gold threshold here. But what Shredded is doing is not bad. What Shredded is doing is not bad. He's basically modified open forting to get himself a specific comp when he comes out of this. So, you know, I'm not going to give him any dues for this. I think he's in an okay spot. I think he's got those units that he wants to work with. So Shredded essentially seems to have maybe gone on a lesson of, or a journey of discovery himself over the course of this final, and he finally sells. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely the right play in that situation. Putting too much value onto Defector and Frost Knight, again, it is not something that you want to do. Plus, if he opens up a little bit more, there are other lose streak compositions that will fare extremely well. So again, not maybe the most comfortable position for Shredded, but it's going to be fun to see what he pulls out of it. Taking a look at Ginsu here with the Warrior frontline, even kind of a light start for Ginsu, who is currently tied for first right now.
Tied for first. He's got a first and a second place, I believe, and I don't think he had the best of performances in the first game, but a first and a second, I believe, is what Ginsu came away with. He's got a Phantom Queen. Phantom Queen is a pretty solid early unit, deals a lot of splash magic damage, but is not going to deal with Chuck. I mean, Chuck has had some solid starts in this series so far. He's got a lot of 2 stars on the board too.
Yeah, Chuck definitely needs this. He, again, kind of struggled game 1 and 2, had a really nice finish game 3, and kind of a decent start here going with those Warriors as well. Pair of Red Axe Chiefs, and actually picks up an early Poisonous Worm. I'm not sure if he's got a mana item to toss on it or not, and it would actually be nice to see all of the items across the board just to kind of get a feel for things. So Chuck, honestly, actually on the low roll of things, but not really too much going on other than Ginsu with that, I guess, 5 items that he's picked up already. So he's got the upper hand so far as items go.
Yeah, he's also got the only Magica Crystal in the game, by the way, which is actually limiting comps a little bit, because Magica Crystal is one of those things that you really need to make mages work effectively. You do need it for Beast Warrior for the Poisonous Worm a lot of the times, but it looks like Chuck has turned things around a little bit. He's picked up that Poisonous Worm, which is going to allow him to have a solid early start.
Yeah, and that's one of the things for Ginsu to recognize, that he's the only one in the lobby that picked up that Magica Crystal.
Yeah.
Possibly knowing that there's going to be some mages open this game for him, because it's not going to... those other players not getting those Magic Crystals isn't going to tempt them to go mages really early on.
A couple of people looking at Glacier Knight right now. Archdevil looks like he's in there. Seiko looks like he's in there with a... Oh, Seiko's got a 2-star Lightblade and a 2-star Hell Knight. And this is a little bit of vindication from the previous game, where he was also competing with Shredded for Glacier Knights and was struggling to get these units online, even by round 15. So round 7... maybe looking to reverse punish Shredded, who is open forting. I'd actually be tempted to look at Shredded's bench to see what he has picked up so far. Oh, he's sold everything. Okay, he's full open forting. This is a classic open fort from Shredded right now. Yeah,
it's a classic open fort, but it is a little bit scary into a lobby of players that are going to know how to play from ahead or from 100% win streaks, which we actually see Archdevil drop down now from that 100% win streak to 94%. And he's looking at also a Knight's Glacier build with a 2-star Hell Knight, 2-star Frost Knight, and some kind of Goblin mechs. Very similar bench and board compared to Seiko, but actually selling those now to hit that 10 gold interest mark.
That's a commit to Glacier Knight for Archdevil, because he sold everything that maybe could have given him a separate run for his money. Hasn't instead said, okay, I'm in a good spot for Glacier Knight. I've got my 2-star Hell Knight. I can look to find the Lightblade Knight a little bit later on. He's also given his items to Red Axe, as he knows that he's going to sell that Red Axe eventually. So that's just going to be there to help him, at least give him like a small minor percentage edge versus maybe some of the other players in the lobby right now. I actually wanted to mention that we talk a lot about what happens to players' HP totals when there's a win streaker. When there is an open forter, it generally has the opposite effect. You actually protect players' HP totals more so than anything else, because obviously when they get that guaranteed win, they're going to protect their HP for a round. So we'll see. Shredded, again, like we said, classic open forting. I'm really tempted, or I'm really interested to see where he goes with this build, because classically you would usually only ever go into something like Feathered, for instance, because it's really easy to accelerate into 3 stars. But he does look like he's thinking about Glacier Knight, and he's a little bit behind the curve right now here, Clay.
Yeah, the problem with this is if there's so many other players taking those Knights out of the pool, trying to go into Glacier Knights, I would say is probably a mistake, especially into from a full full-fledged open fort where you're not even picking up units along the way, it's going to be rough for him. So there's three other players right now playing Glacier Knights, and not only just soft Glacier Knights, they're hard committed into Glacier Knights for the most part, like we said. Maybe with the exception of Bomeron has the ability to switch into Hunters, which would actually be a really good option for him, because Land being the sole mage player right now, again, looking to see Ginsu probably transition into that later on. And yeah, as we see here, Kong with that Divinity bonus early on, which we don't actually see too much of so far.
He's actually killed it with the Spirit bonus, but I think what was being highlighted by our spectators is that we have two Beast Warrior players in this lobby as well. We have both Chuck and I believe it is Ginsu. So Ginsu and Chuck both in a Beast Warrior platform, and Jinsu's managed to find 4 beasts with the Razor Claw super early on here. Yeah,
Razor Claw that early in a already pretty stacked Beast Warrior combination is looking pretty good for him. If he gets that 2-star Razor Claw, or possibly even an egg to make it a 2-star Razor Claw, that's going to be huge for him.
Yeah, I'm tempted to see how Shredded does versus the neutral round here, because this is one of those rounds that's very scary for an open fort player, because you often don't have the capacity to beat it, and it does look like we're going to end up in a situation where he only takes out one of these golems, which is tough, because when you're an open forter, you can be in a rough situation like that.
Yeah, it's not uncommon, and it's mainly when you do that full open fort that is a very real possibility. Does pick up a 2-star Frost Knight, may not be really what he's looking for. Obviously, it is nice to have, but still looking for some of those more important knights, like Lightblade Knight.
Have a look at anybody else picking up. Heaven's Gift for Archdevil at the top there, but no magic crystals for Chuck, but there is one for Ginsu and Seiko. So Jinsu's going to be able to put that onto his Poisonous Worm once he decides to get rid of that Unicorn. And Seiko has got options, things like the Soul Reaper, things like the Desperate Doctor can work out for him. But Shredder choosing to continue to open fort right now. It's not uncommon to see players do this. I would be wary of Shredder doing this up until the Wolf round, because he has not had the Priest bonus to help him mediate that HP loss. So if he was trying to continue this loss streak up until the Wolf round, I think he'll be in a very rough spot in the mid game right now.
Yeah, 45% HP round 11 is no joke. It's much lower than what you would really want to be. However, with the Beast Warrior players that are already kind of semi-high rolling for the most part, even putting units on the board might potentially be worse than open forting, especially without the Priest bonus, like you said.
Yeah, so, Beast Warrior, the thing is that Clay's getting at there is that if you put units on the board and you go up against a Poisonous Worm and a Werewolf spammer, if they kill you and spawn their units, you might take more damage than you would have done just open forting. So it's it's going to be rough. Shredded keeping hold of each individual armor items there. I'm wondering why. I'm wondering if he wants to hold on to it to potentially combine for the Bladed Plate Mail, but otherwise he could just combine that for the Steel Plate Mail.
Yeah, it doesn't really actually give you any added bonus, so just to have the options open where you never know. It's just every little thing could potentially make a difference, so I do see why he's just keeping them separate for now. Swapping over here to Land, actually losing to Kong, who's got an early Dragonite as well as an egg already set to go for going Dragon Mages. And we talked a little bit about not really too many people getting magic crystals early on, but that's definitely not stopped people from trying to go those mages really soon.
Yeah, you've got the Wolf round coming up as well, so you can gamble that you're going to find a magic crystal at some point. Also, when you get the source, you could maybe go for a source 3 late game. You are not, you don't have to rely on just Magic Crystal. You can also give attack damage items to your Tortola Elder, who is the only unit that really, really, really needs mana generation more so than any other unit in your composition. So I don't think it's the worst position in the world for Land, and I've seen a lot of this Water Spirit. This is probably the most surprising unit of this entire tournament to me, and it really has been, I think, piloted by the South Korean and Japanese players. They have brought this to the forefront of mage builds, and it has been, honestly, it has been one of the most impressive units for me in these builds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was actually just about to mention that as well when we swapped over here to Land's board, and it's a really smart decision right now with the Beast Warriors in here that do melee damage, as well as the Knights Glacier that also do a lot of melee damage with those, Hell Knights and Evil Knights. So I can definitely see why it it's as popular as it is. And now picking up the Dragon bonus as well with the mages early on. So not a bad start from land, and it's probably going to sort of snowball into something really nice for him.
So Ginsu and Chuck currently the two playing the Beast Warrior build. We'll have to have a look over at them fairly soon. You can see Archdevil only with a level 1 Lightblade Knight right now. But again, there's lots of Glacier Knight players, and that is going to be a worry for Shredded, who's going to try. I mean, the best case scenario for Shredded is that he finds those 3 stars as quickly as possible, just so that he can do exactly what he did last game. But when there are more Glacier Knight players to contend with, that is a bit more difficult. And Chuck, he's playing Beast Warrior, and one of the biggest weaknesses of Glacier Knight in the early to mid game is that when a Beast Warrior is rolling with Poisonous Worms, that will be on Shredded's mind, that will be on the rest of the Glacier Knight players' minds as well.
And now taking a look at Chuck's board specifically, he does have the 2-star God of War taking a lot of damage there, as well as the tanky front line of all of those warriors to just allow even a 1-star Poisonous Worm to start just mass spawning those worms. It can actually turn into a lot of early damage. Now, going into round 15, Shredded actually did lose his lose streak, which we've seen happen many times in this tournament so far, which again isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, but he is very, very close to a 3-star Hell Knight already. Finally gets a couple Lightblade Knights, and he's on his way to another really nice Night Glacier build.
Yeah, he's in a great spot. I didn't think he would be able to sort of do that with a lot of people already finding those Hell Knights, but he has been lucky when it comes to finding the Knights across both these games. So he's in a good spot.
Yeah.
He even just has another Hell Knight to go here. He rolled on the neutral round and found another one. So one more Hell Knight, and he will find himself at a level 3 Hell Knight super early on, which will again allow him to potentially pilot his way into a really good spot in this game.
Yeah, absolutely want to roll here to get that 3-star Hell Knight before leveling up, because you're so close. And being level 5, you still have the maximum percentage of getting those 2-cost units. He does find a couple Desperate Doctors as well as a Defector in the shop here to just continue to add more Knights Glaciers to his army. And yeah, he's got a 3-star Hell Knight round 16, making it look easy there for the most part, getting very, very nice rolls given to him. And he's got to be feeling pretty good at this point. I mean, he's probably the strongest player in the lobby with that, as well as having a very nice economy compared to even players at the top.
Yeah, he's in a great spot. He does need to try and find some more Lightblade Knights, but he's in a position where that's still very possible for him. It's the Hell Knight that will be carrying him through this mid-game, though, and he can start to look to win streak over lose streaking as well. I think he's going to be very happy with the situation that he's found himself in post-Wolf round right now.
Yeah, you see him nodding his head there. He knows he's in a great position and can really essentially start looking to level up. And as you see here, goes to level 6, so that way he can start adding in those extra bonuses with 4 Knights, 4 Glaciers, and of course going to level 8 eventually to add in the Soul Reaper. But he's looking good. So swapping over to Bomeron, because Shredded is pretty much set for quite a few rounds. Bomeron, on the other hand, not so lucky, just with the 2-star, pretty much all the 2-star Knights that he would rather have 3-star, of course, with the Lightblade Knight being 2-star as well. Does have a Tortola Elder on the bench, but I was going to say I'd probably see him end up selling that and just committing Glacier Knights. However, I'm a little bit nervous for Bomeron, because he's also in a very low HP situation and not as comfortably set up as Shredded is.
Yeah, Shredded is, he's just been incredibly lucky finding those Hell Knights early on, and that's great, because that's, again, like I said, once you get that 3-star Hell Knight, you can focus on your Lightblade Knight, and even if Shredded just finds a 2-star Lightblade Knight, he's going to be in a great spot. There are 4 other Glacier Knight players in this lobby. I believe Seiko is one of them. I believe Archdevil is the other, and you can see that we're on Bomeron right now too. He's gone for a 2-star Dragon Knight here. He's going to put that in over the Evil Knight for the time being. It's interesting that he's decided to level that up to 2-star. Maybe he's looking to go for a slightly altered strategy where he would go to level 9 and play the 6-Knight version of this build. You just get rid of the Soul Reaper, so you lose your Warlock and a Gersys bonus, but you mitigate HP by generating shields more, or the likelihood of generating shields becomes more likely.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a decent decision from Bomeron here to try to change into a different style or a modified version of a Knight build with seeing how Shredded is already rolling. Swapping over here now to Archdevil with again, a Night Glacier build just to see how all of our Night Glacier players are doing. But Archdevil's taking a different approach to it. He did have really nice rolls early on to give himself more of a HP buffer, and he's taking that and putting the gold that he's getting into experience, also now level 7, and has quite a good bench as well.
Yeah, he's got a solid bench. He's working towards a 3-star, both Lightblade and Hell Knight. Obviously, that's the main goal when you play this build. Looking at the total gold game, Shredded is 30 above anybody else in this lobby because of that open fort strategy that he managed to pull off here. And he's, I think, maybe changed his mind about the way he wants to approach these particular games. Maybe taking a leaf out of Lucky's book, like you said, and it's worked out very well for 2 games in a row, considering he needs these wins to put himself in a good position. Shredded is definitely the guy to watch when it comes to the Glacier Knight build at this point in time.
Yeah, Archdevil up against Seiko. They're the 4th Knights Glacier player. And Shredded, with the early 3-star Hell Knight, has got to know that when it comes down to the other Knight players, they're going to be struggling because he's taking those very important units away from them. So with just that alone, he's got to know that that's almost solidifying himself ahead of those other 3 players, which could give him just a 5th place finish, if not even more, right, of course. So taking a look overall here, going into round 20, there's our 4 Knights Glaciers. We have, looks like, 2 Mage players, and one of the Beast Warriors, which was Chuck, has now transitioned into the Soul Hunter player as it stands.
I mean, it's a good decision to try and play away from any other build. If there's no other Hunters in the lobby, you're going to give yourself a better shot at finding those units. The problem with Chuck is that a lot of the core units that he needs to be at 2-star right now are currently lacking a little bit behind. For instance, his Dwarf Sniper, you would really like to have that 2-star before round 20, if I'm completely honest with you. But he has got the economy to work with, so he could potentially roll for it. He could potentially look to roll down a bit further. He does look like he's taking a roll down to 20 gold or so here, but it hasn't really found anything major, in my opinion, that would give him a massive boost.
Yeah, ending up selling the Venomancer, so giving up the Warlock bonus to add in a second 2-star Swordman. Probably not the worst decision, of course, at this point, because he does have that added value. Now switching that out into a Siren, which I would say the Swordman is probably better value than the Siren right now. However, he's probably trying to get that added Marine bonus because, again, he is actually going up against a Mage player right now.
Well, he's got 2 2-star God of Wars. The one tank that you can actually look to play 6 Hunters with is God of War 3. So there is a very real opportunity for Chuck to potentially consider 6 Hunters in this particular lobby because he has the God of War working towards the God of War 3. So if you were to potentially get 6 Hunters with God of War 3, that actually becomes a fairly strong composition. It's also pretty solid versus Knight players too. So it might be a way of Chuck dealing with the current Knight spam lobby if he were to find God of War 3 and then maybe go for a Tsunami Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option. It's an option for sure. He's actually 1 off now from a 3-star God of War like you were talking about. However, I really would say 3 Hunters is still a better option, and adding in something like a Dark Spirit once he gets up to level 8 to add in that once he finds it, because he is level 8, but to add in that Warlock bonus. And up against Shredded's 3-star Hell Knight, actually ended up putting a mask on it instead because he doesn't have that 3-star Lightblade Knight in the back.
Yeah, he's only got a 1-star Lightblade Knight right now, which is obviously going to be giving him a little bit of a tough time because he's already lost. He hasn't maintained a 100% win streak from finding that 3-star Hell Knight. And that is one of the things that you do need to be aware of, that Hell Knight is good, but you do need the combination of both Hell Knight and Lightblade Knight to make the Glacier Knight composition as scary as it can be in the late game. So he actually had his win streak broken at round 22, or round 21 rather, and then managed to come back at round 22. But let's not discount where Shredded is in this game. Having a look, we have a, super stacked, very heavy armor-driven Water Spirit here. And that's for Land right now, one of our South Korean players who really needs this win to be feeling good going into the final 2 games of this final, because he hasn't had the best of series so far either.
Yeah, that's massive for Land to actually get that 3-star Water Spirit, especially with all those items that he has on it, because if there's one thing that's going to slow down that tanky 3-star Hell Knight from Shredded, from rolling through his mages, it's going to be that spirit bonus. And we see Boomerang actually pulling Shredded here and going out round 23, a very early loss from Boomerang, taking 8th place. Game 4.
That's tough for Boomerang. He hasn't had the best of series either. He will not be in the happiest spot. Seiko also not in a great spot right now. Doesn't really. He is nowhere near A level. Oh, has he gone for the 6 Knight version of this? Just 6 Knights, no Glacier.
He's got it set up right now with 6 Knights and 2 Glacier.
Yeah, he's playing. So he wants to go to level 9 and maybe get rid of Soul Reaper and go for the 4 Glacier version. Yeah. This is a version that I think is superior to Mages, but I still don't think it's going to beat your classic Glacier Knight, especially someone like Shredded at this point in time.
Yeah, and in order to add that Soul Reaper in, he actually has to get up another level into 10, which is, it's so huge against other Knight players to have that Aegris's bonus as well as the Warlock bonus, but it is extremely strong once you do get up to that. So I would look to see him probably start saving gold in order to force level and add that bonus in.
Shredded lost again here. I'm wondering, he's only level 7, so he's actually super close to a 3-star Desperate Doctor. He's got 50 gold to roll it down with. I'm fully expecting Shredded to go to level 8 and maybe roll it down on the next level, because 12, I mean, if you go to level 8 now, I would thoroughly recommend going to level 8 now and sticking the Soul Reaper in. I think that's going to give him a really good spot. He's actually got a Frantic Mask on the level 3 Hell Knight, like you said, because he didn't have a good Lightblade Knight at that point in time. Now, the Hell Knight ability actually isn't that important. It can sometimes be important, but I would say as the game goes on, it's not the most important ability in the game. So
No, that's I really like that decision from Shredded to put the Frantic Mask on the Hell Knight. But like I was saying previously, he did get put up against land with that Spirit bonus, and we didn't get to see the actual fight, but I do believe that the Hell Knight did get stopped by that Spirit bonus with the 3-star Water Spirit.
It's one of the reasons why I think Water Spirit has performed so well in this particular tournament, is that just the Spirit bonus itself is very good at shutting down melee Knight units like that Hell Knight. We're just seeing him roll down pretty exemplary. He went straight past the God of Thunder there, unfortunately. Finds himself another Lightblade Knight. He's looking for the Desperate Doctor, which he gets to 3-star. I would now, add that Soul Reaper in, and I think Shredded's in a good spot. He is in a good spot.
It's a little weird there with the Hell Knight in the backline, so it's going to take a while for that to get going.
He's going up against Ginsu here. Ginsu is running a Beast Warrior comp with a pretty beefy Beast Warrior frontline right now. This is one of the compositions that really, I would say Glacier Knight can struggle with.
This is really scary, yeah.
I think he's going to be okay, though. I think he'll be okay because of the 3-star Hell Knight right here.
Yeah, and the 3-star Hell Knight, even though it was in the backline, if we watched it specifically, it did kind of go around the corner, didn't really get focused by any of the other units in the main line until they pretty much were all dead from the Frantic Mask that he has on it.
So Seiko could actually roll to 10 here and just put in the... I think he tried to roll to 10? Because he just used all of his gold. I can't imagine he rolled down. I think he must have tried to go to 10. Yeah, there we go.
There he goes.
Yeah, I think he just slightly miscalculated it and had to sell something, but...
Or just wanted to decide, wanted an extra second to decide what he wanted to sell.
Sure, yeah. Interesting that he's putting his knights at the front here. This is something that I've thought about a lot, and I'm not the biggest fan of putting knights anywhere near the front of the lobby. Anywhere near the front of the chessboard. The reason being is that they take 2 seconds to activate their shield. So if you put them at the front of the chessboard, they are very likely to not be able to activate their shield. And now Seiko survives on 1 HP. Chuck gets knocked out. That just came from nowhere. That just came from nowhere for Chuck.
Yeah, he was going for Hunters and most likely wasn't able to find that front line. I'm not sure if he ended up getting his God of War 3-star ever, which could have been the issue there. But yeah, taking a 7th place right now, which Chuck being one of those players that needed to make something happen here. With only 2 games left, every point is going to count. So only picking up 1 point this game, but Seiko now on the chopping block with Shredded, even at 9%, still hanging on, but Land kind of the Knight's Glacier kryptonite right now, if you will.
Yeah, he's definitely causing issues. I think Seiko should be okay here, but it is going to be close. He's not running a particularly strong build. He may survive with just a slip. I don't know, actually. This is going to be so close for Seiko. It's Hell Knight versus the world, and it goes out. Seiko gets knocked out here. Shredded on some 1% HP. He does go up against that Kryptonite, as you said, that was land. And without that level 3 Lightblade Knight, Shredded also in a tough position, I think, coming into this this endgame.
Yeah, with Spirits there, that Lightblade Knight 3-star, like you said, is extremely crucial because Spirit bonus doesn't take effect on ranged units, which is very, very, I mean, it's crucial. It's crucial.
You can see Ginsu here. He's looking for a 3-star werewolf, a 2-star werewolf, a 2-star pirate captain, a 2-star berserker, and a 2-star siren. So a lot of 2-stars on the field that Ginsu still needs to level up this composition. And remember, this is one of the guys right now who's joint first place. Yeah. So a good top 3 finish. This guy is looking at 450k as a real opportunity for him.
And you could see at the end of Game 3 just the emotion starting to get to him a little bit. He does have a long way to go, but just knowing that you have such a lead already 3 games into it here, but he's looking really strong, and it looks like Kong is going to get knocked out. He was in top contention right now with 19 points, so only taking a 5th place finish there. Shredded looking okay. Archdevil also getting bested by Shredded, dropping down to 3% HP. So Ginsu just loving the fact that those two are on such low HP percentages now, because he knows that every single player that gets knocked out from here on out, especially Kong, is just getting him that much closer to $450,000. It's actually super insane. I can only imagine what's going through his head right now.
It's crazy. He's had some excellent games so far. Jinsu, our player from South Korea, he's played a blind, Shredded now on 1%, but he does have that 3-star Hell Knight. It just depends on who he matches up against in this next lobby. If he goes up against land, he might be in a rough spot, because that is a mean water spirit for a level 3 Hell Knight to deal with.
Yeah, both Korean players actually 1-2 right now in the lobby with Land and Ginsu. Going into round 30 creep round, we do have quite a few items here on all 4 sides. No legendary items as it stands. Of course, Archdevil just a couple items away from getting the Mjolnir onto a Lightblade Knight, which actually would be really nice for him. And yeah, Dragonite there with the Maelstrom as well, just looking for that Wraith Shard. Land, really right now, the person to beat in this lobby. And I would say that he also is going to be beating Jinsu's Beast Warrior comp as well with that Spirit. It's crazy. Spirit, who would have thought? That's the counter to almost everybody in this lobby right now.
A lot of 2-stars being picked up here right now for Archdevil, really only just waiting on that Siren. He's put himself into a great spot. He should be able to take out Archdevil with relative ease. I'm looking at Archdevil and Shredded right now to see who they're going to be going up against. Oh, this is going to be rough for Shredded. I think he might have lost that 3-star Hell Knight already. This could be the end for... Sorry, this is Archdevil. This is Archdevil. Archdevil is out here. Shredded did end up winning.
Yeah, Archdevil taking 4th, so that means Shredded does slide into 3rd place with 1% HP left to go. And I would say this is about the best that he can wish for right now. If he does happen to get past Ginsu, I feel like he's not going to get past Land if he does get pulled up against him next time.
I think he just beat Land. I actually think he just beat Land in that last lobby there. Yeah, he did by 4. So
a couple of that could, though, depend on not only Night Shield procs, but of course Spirit procs at the same time.
Sure, absolutely. There's a lot of RNG involved. As level 10 comes round for Land right now, we'll see who he faces up against here. It is going to be Shredded. We'll see. Jinsu must be getting up against Land, and I assume Shredded will be taking on Jinsu.
Yeah, and Shredded still not really the best build up against the Beast Warriors either. So 3-star Hell Knight here taking out Land. So Shredded doing just fine, but up against Ginsu with all of those spawns on him, he actually is going to be just fine as well. Ginsu wins his match, and that's up against Land. So kind of a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors going on right now, although Land was the only one that ended up losing his round.
Yeah, Ginsu and Land, Ginsu and Shredded both taking a win there for themselves. 2 Tortola Elders coming out. And again, I have to ask, what is this obsession with not cornering your Tortola Elders and having Flaming Wizard and Source? at the back corner?
You know, Excalibur, I wish I could answer that question for you, but we've seen it time and time again from, I believe it's mainly the South Korean and Chinese players that end up doing that, and I just feel like it's less optimal. As you see, only one of them ends up even getting his ultimate off, and I don't think it was even fully charged, so Land is going to take quite a bit of damage there. Shredded getting taken out by Land, so those Spirit procs must have been just enough, so Ginsu, man, look at it. Look, just, can you imagine how Jinsu's feeling? 2 games left. He's already solidified himself a second place finish now, and this is, I mean, I'm almost getting chills for him already, but he still has a long way to go. And this game, who do you give this to? I feel like I still give this to Land.
I think Land is very likely to be in a good position, but what I do want to highlight is that Ginsu can do a couple of things in this scenario. He's already got a Storm Shaman 2. He's already got the Marine bonus in his composition. What he can do is go to level 10 and look for a 4 Marine bonus, and that would maybe give him the edge versus Land. Now, the question is, does he have enough time to do that? That is the question that he's going to be facing.
Yeah, he's actually a little low on HP, about 20%, so a couple bad games could knock him out. But as it stands, looks like those Beast Warriors are going to do just fine. And again, with a 3-star source, you don't need to have those Tortola Elders frontline, because I feel like the only reason why you would want them kind of out in the open is to have them gain mana a little bit quicker, but he's got 3-star swords. Just put those in the back. It's going to take so long for those warriors to get to them, and they're going to be able to do massive damage.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the left positioning there on the Tortola Elder is just
It's wild.
weird. Okay,
it's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's just strange.
You know, it is what I think he's trying to separate them out, but you could separate them out of the back corners.
There you go.
Yeah, that's slightly better. They do have a 4 attack range, so they don't need to actually move from the back corner most of the time to be able to attack in a lobby. They're very, very long attack range units. You'll have a look at the positioning here from...
Yeah.
Well, this is just for the neutral round.
It is just for the neutral round, but I do feel like this is a better positioning for Land going up against the Storm Shaman from Ginsu, because it's going to have to decide which side it wants to silence for the most part. So he's going to almost guarantee at least one of his Tortola Elders to get off, which is going to do a lot of damage if he doesn't change the positioning of it.
It's a lot of magic resist. Oh wow, a ballista, Dragonbone Ballista now here on the Berserker as well.
Yeah, and he's actually just putting that straight in front of... Okay, I was gonna say he's backlining the Dragonbone Ballista.
Good.
But he's putting it right in front of the Tortola Elder. So watch the Tortola Elder on the left side of your screen here. It's just...
They're gonna kill the source. Or try and kill the source. The Tortola Elder does get the ultimate off, but he gets flattened. Again, something else that I want to mention to you, Clay, is that there is a 3-star Swordsman. Now, Swordsman is one of those warrior units that actually becomes very good versus mage compositions in general, and the reason it becomes good is that when it is spinning, it is immune to all ability effects, including damage. So when that swordsman is spinning, it will not get affected by Tortola Elder ultimates. It will not get affected by the Thunder Spirit. It will not get affected by whatever else is being thrown at it, because it has that ability to just negate everything.
Yeah, and it can just absolutely tear through those kind of squishy mages, like you said. So for sure, definitely Jinsu's main carry unit right now. It's his main source of damage for the most part, and it looks like he does end up getting rid of Poisonous Worm to put in a Shaman bonus, if I'm not mistaken. He did get rid of the Poisonous Worm, correct?
Yeah, so the Shaman bonus is just hoping to get an immediate Hex off, and then afterwards maybe get a Hex following that. So he's, I think, essentially looking to try and... Because this is one of the things that is good versus mage players. If you can get one of their units off the field, often it's a unit that has a massive impact.
And it is paying off for him very well here.
Yeah. And the reason it has a massive impact is because almost every unit that's in a mage composition is generally a unit that is really, really important for them. So I think it's a good call. I genuinely think it's a good call, because you're almost always going to hex a high value target when you're hexing something versus a mage composition, right?
Correct. And Jinsu's actually playing this very well.
Yes.
I mean, we see him actually making some very crucial decisions and starting to work towards that 4 Marine, because he knows that there is a huge difference between first and second place right now for him, and this is extremely important. He does get the 2-star Siren there now as well.
I wish I could really get in the heads of the, like, even positioning the source at the front, because once she's dead, she doesn't generate your team any mana, and so that actually slows down everyone's mana generation for the team. Like, I think you could just force people to attack the Water Spirit, right? Just force them to attack the Water Spirit and then keep everything as far back as possible. Even having the Thunder Spirit at the front is okay because of the Spirit bonus.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd actually rather people attack the 3-star source than the Tortola Elders.
Yeah, sure.
Right, but I do agree with what you're saying. I think against Warriors, if you do, it's hard to corner, though, against Warriors because of the Swordman, right? So if Swordman comes in there, he has a huge range that he can actually do a lot of damage if he gets into it. So I do think that splitting is still the best option, but trying to funnel people into that massive, extremely tanky 3-star Water Spirit, and he barely gets it done there. Land 30% HP. Ginsu 18% HP. Hasn't actually changed that round at all.
Could we just, like, put the Pirate Captain where the source is and put the source a little bit further back?
Possibly. I would say that could be an option, but again, he does have human silence, so...
Yeah, there is, but they're ranged. They do attack from range.
Source does.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it is... It could go either way. It's hard to say without seeing both boards at the same time. So here we go. The positioning being a very important part. He puts that 3-star Water Spirit right in front of the 3-star Swordman there, as you can see on the right portion of the left side of the screen. A very nice Tortola Elder ultimate on the left side. The right side, not so much the same story, but both players looking to come out on top here.
I like the way that he's positioned his Tortola Elders in general, though, by the way, because he's basically getting a cross swipe of the entire board by getting a Tortola Elder going from left to right and a Tortola Elder going from right to left. And it's usually decimating, on at least Land's side of the board, the majority of what we're seeing. So I think it's like good to have this cross section of Tortola Elders going from left to right. They're repositioning for the neutral round now, of course. But this is really close.
Land might have a hard time against Glacier Clan, unless he gets some nice Spirit procs, and
his level 3 Water Spirit actually should do enough, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very tanky.
Very tanky. Very, very tanky boy.
You can see he's kind of looking at a 3-star Tortola Elder and then being able to add in another 2-star Storm Shaman, as you can see, kind of what he's looking at here.
Well, actually, his Water Spirit is still going. Yeah, his Water Spirit is so tanky and so distracting that I just don't think they can do enough to take him out.
Wanna see how you lose?
Actually, Beast Warrior getting this far is pretty incredible to see, because you don't see it that often, seeing Beast Warrior get this far into the game, but it is a very strong composition from Ginsu right now. I am wondering whether the thought process for a 4 Marine would be better if he could find the Tsunami Stalker. But right now, he's making that Shaman bonus work okay for him. He's got another Dragon Bone Ballista.
Second Dragon Bone Ballista.
You can't stack them. No, you can't stack them. They don't stack. They don't stack.
Are you positive?
I'm almost positive they don't stack.
I was under the impression that only active skills don't stack.
I was pretty, because I know that Crystal Sword doesn't stack, right? I didn't think they stacked anyway. I've never been able to test it, but my initial impression has always been that they don't stack if they have a unique passive. But I don't know. I might be wrong on that front, to be honest
with
you.
It's still damage.
It still
gives that extra damage.
Yeah, it's still damage at the end of the day.
Which, in this case, who would you put it on instead? Even if it doesn't stack.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'd put it on Siren. Maybe, at the very most. Yeah, I think you're right.
Definitely options. Lando now getting to 16% HP. So Ginsu now taking over the #1 spot of this lobby, going into round 42. Refresher Orb, Storm Shaman on his end is absolutely insane for him right now. Of course, going into these mages. It's looking really good for Ginsu right now. He's been coming out on top, and even when he loses, it's not by much.
He's picked up his own Storm Shaman now. We know how devastating Storm Shaman can be in a 6-mage composition, so keep your eye on how much damage that is able to do here for Land. It might be a turning point for him. That's a lot of damage.
That's Razor Claw barely getting his bear off there, and while Land is going to take some damage, but able to pull it off here, it looks like. So winning on his board, and then now Ginsu taking quite a bit of damage on his side, switching back and forth now. So Land getting the upper hand, Ginsu down to just 7%. So for the most part, if he takes one more loss, it's probably going to be second place.
Yes, I think at this point that that 2-star Storm Shaman is a massive deal for Ginsu, because when the 6-mage bonus combines with the 2-star Storm Shaman, he's buying up the Tortola Elders to make sure that Land cannot find them, and that will try and deny a 3-star Tortola Elder. Although I actually prefer just having 2 2-star Tortola Elders on the board, although he's only got 1 now. I think if you made the choice, I actually quite like having 2 2-stars, although he's sacrificed 1 for the Storm Shaman, of course. The Storm Shaman doing so much work. Like, look at the damage it does in a 6-mage composition. It's just absolutely gruesome.
Yeah, it's definitely really nice here, but that 3-star Swordman is spinning, doing a ton of damage here on Land. Is it actually going to be enough to kill him here? I don't think so. I think it's going to be really close.
Super close. I just don't know. It's difficult to tell here. I think he may have survived with just a sliver of HP. He has.
6%, so going back and forth now. Round 44, just 1 round before a creep round as well. So I'll be honest with you, Xscoundrel, I don't think it's going to get to round 45. I think this is going to decide it right here.
Unless they both win. We have seen them both win on their boards before. They haven't been losing and winning. Again, I like the decision-making process that Land has gone for. The Storm Shaman was definitely a turning point. I think you need it versus a Refresher Orb Storm Shaman coming out from Ginsu, but these guys, they're both South Korean. They're both battling to the end right now. And Land definitely needs the points because he's a little bit further down the standings than Ginsu, but this is Ginsu making a claim for $450,000, and you can see it's pretty close, but it's looking good. It's looking good for Ginsu. It's looking really good.
Taking another first place finish here. I would love to see his reaction right now.
Oh, I want to see that reaction.
He knows that he solidified himself 9 extra points. Oh my gosh. Scoundrel, I'm getting chills.
That was insane from Ginsu. We are looking at the #1 player with just 2 games to go, $450,000 potentially sitting in his back pocket. That is a boatload of money for our South Korean competitor, a player that everybody respected coming into this tournament as well. I remember on the first day, there was talk about everybody saying, well, this guy is really, really tough to beat, and you can see the breadth of builds that he's bought, the decision-making that he's had, with a little bit of luck sprinkled in as well. It's been good fortunes for Ginsu.
Was it Ginsu who went Fallen Witcher once upon a time?
Yes.
Yeah, I think just that bell was ringing for some reason. My goodness. And that was not an easy victory either. He fought hard for that one.
Yeah, he came back from, I think, a 50% HP deficit, if not more.
Yeah, he fought. I mean, he was actually, I think, around 15, 16, looking at a fairly mediocre Beast Warrior build, and then he hit some 3-stars. He made some good decisions. He went for the 3-star Razor Claw, which is a gamble when you're playing Beast Warrior, because it can be sometimes hard to find that guy without investing a lot of money to finding the rest of the druids. And 3-star Razor Claw for me is one of those units in Beast Warrior that gives you a bit more longevity, and he kind of used that as a platform to sort of get to a really good spot in this game.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the roles. It wasn't just the units that he had. It was the decision-making to get rid of the Poisonous Worm. It was the decision-making to add in the Storm Shaman and then also get the Siren in there. But then the positioning, I think, was super, super key and a very crucial fact of why he took first place this game.
And again, both of them were just so low at the very end. We haven't even seen that yet today, where it just comes to such a close margin between our top 2 players. And it comes down to just the narrow margins of where you're placing your pieces, maybe an item on one unit or another, but just nothing but dramatics here. Let's take a look at the match details here from that last match. And of course, we can recap what happened with the rest of the lobby. We see Bomber on there at the bottom. Chuck, he was trying to build some momentum, but he also, finishing in 7th place and then going on up there. It seems like South Korea and China, they're kind of lifting themselves up above the rest right now.
What I'll say, though, is Shredded did open 4 into Glacier Knights again, and he found himself into 3rd position.
Second game in a row for Shredded, where he went way low, but then found himself in the top 3.
I think he's fighting for 4th right now. I think
he's in contention.
He did get very, very lucky with a lot of those rolls, but that's, of course, not to take anything away from the strategy behind of what he decided to do. But Kong taking a 5th place finish here, it's not the worst thing in the world for him. So looking at it now, Ginsu 28 points in 1st place.
Shredded actually up in 3rd at 21 as well, with just 2 games to go. Tied with Land, with Archdevil just essentially fighting at the heels for them. Seiko a little bit further out. Bomberon and Chuck, unfortunately, I think are likely not in a good position to even, well, they definitely can't contest first, but they'd need some luck to even make it towards that 20-point bonus right now with just 2 games left to go. But yeah, there's a really big fight for 4th right now.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference between the money between 4th and 5th.
Yep.
Because it's not about going on anymore. It's not about moving on to the next round in order to play. We're here. We're at the finals. So 4th place gets $50,000 and 5th place takes $18,000. So it's
$32,000 difference. It's
I
mean, one place, $32,000, and then you're going up to like 3rd and 2nd. 2nd is 200,000.
4th is 50K, 3rd is 100K, 2nd is 200K, 1st is $450,000, and of course 5th through 8th they get 18,000. So it's just huge money disparity all the way through.
If you're Ginsu, what's going through your head right now?
I mean, you have to be just calming yourself going into these next 2 games. You are quite obviously aware that you're likely in 1st place. You've probably been doing the maths as you've been going along with your points, and you know you've got to be saying, okay, just play my game for 2 games now, because if you get ahead of yourself, you start getting a bit hypey on the rolls, put yourself in a rough position, you could lose that 1st place. You just need to get some top 3s for the next 2 games.
Yeah,
like top fours even, maybe even secures you it. So,
but it's. Man, I'm a little bit at a loss for words for what's happening, but there is a huge battle still for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and who knows what might even happen with 1st place.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
can come down to the wire.
Seiko's not out of it yet as well. He's 6 points behind, so he could maybe find himself into the 4th and 3rd places as well. He's not had a great few rounds. He's had a good early start, but 3 games in a row has not placed very well, but he would also need to get some good top 3 positions to put himself in the running for 4th. And Shredded, I think he's found a lucky strategy, if I say so, because he's been following in the footsteps of Lucky previously, and it's been working out for him for 2 games in a row.
Which is not something we've seen him play almost the entire tournament up until this point. He's really focused on those warriors early game and then switching into hunters or mages respectively, depending on the lobby and depending on the roles. And to see him go into this 2 games in a row now and almost kind of forcing it because of that early game start that he had, it's been maybe eye-opening for him. And it's going to be interesting to see if he decides to do it again.
And what about the compositions we've been seeing, guys? In particular, Dragon Mage is sticking out to me, where we're seeing a lot of players utilize that strategy. Meanwhile, we have Shredded really trying to make the Glacier Knights work time and time again. What kind of differences are we expecting? I mean, we only have 2 games left here, so...
I don't think we're going to see many differences. My only, I guess, thought about what we've seen through the finals so far is Hunters have massively underperformed. I think no one has really
Chuck tried to get those online, but
I feel like we've only seen like 1 player per game really go for that.
It's been limited players playing Hunters, and I think I have been surprised at how few people have managed to get it into a strong position in the games, given how unpopular the build has been throughout this finals. There's been, I think, too many people trying to force Glacier Knights. I think we had 4 in that last lobby, and unfortunately...
In the lobby before that, too.
Yeah, the problem with Glacier Knights, when so many people are going for them, is if you're in Shredded's position and you're just going, right, well, economy first, it's more likely that you are going to be the one to have the economy to roll for the Knights. And unless anyone else is getting extremely lucky, then you're always going to be in a good position.
Well, speaking of Shredded, though, for those couple games that he had a rough start with, he had a really good win streak. I believe it was game 1, and he ended up trying to transition into Hunters, and he had such a huge HP advantage over the rest of the lobby and then ended up getting 6th.
Yeah.
So, again, it's kind of a testament of how Hunters are being played right now, and I think the main thing is possibly looking at that Spirit bonus, the Mage bonus, the Dragons. That's been an insane comp so far, and that Water Spirit just wreaking havoc on a lot of those Lightblade Knights as well, kind of turning it around so that way those boomerangs aren't ricocheting on your entire team. It's just focusing on the one Lightblade Knight.
It's like a double-edged sword to these Glacier Knight comps. It freezes the Hell Knight, ults to the back, turns the fire of the Lightblade Knight away.
Even the Dragon Mage, if there's another Dragon Mage comp, it's turning around and looking at it.
And it's forcing maybe Tortola Elder ultimates to go the wrong way.
Yeah.
For me, Water Spirit has been the surprise unit of this entire tournament. We just didn't see any of it in North America and Europe, and I think it's something that Japan and Korea have brought to this tournament, maybe even as a surprise. I don't know. Someone can tell me on Twitter or something if it is something they've been playing quite frequently, but it has been the surprise for us because it's just never something that we considered.
Yeah.
And now, does it have to be does it only work with Dragon Mage, or do you think that can be flexible with other comps?
I think that's about all you
That's
need
it,
to do.
yeah. You could maybe... The problem is that you need to run it with a spirit.
Right.
The only other spirit that in the game right now that is you're able to easily get is Thunder Spirit, and Thunder Spirit only works in mages. There was a... Rest his soul, Stone Spirit that you could have maybe seen it thrown in with Warrior comps or with Hunter comps or something, but to be honest with you, it's just mages right now.
So you mentioned your expectations about the mentality of Ginsu right now. He's in a ridiculously nice position. Obviously, there's still 2 games to go here, but he does have a decent point lead. What do you think that the main focus, as we're about to get into Game 5 here, what does that have to be for Ginsu?
I mean, I think Excoundrel hit it on the head, just staying calm and not going for first. He doesn't need first places anymore. He just needs to get above the fold, and if he can do that, he can just play consistently and just hope that everything goes in his favor. And then once you get into those situations again where it's 1v1, doing everything that you can to earn just even 1 point, because it could come down to that at the very end.
It absolutely could. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and scroll into Game 5.